Let's hop into some in and out squats for the next 30 seconds. Your turn. Alright, working some hops with hips rotation on this one. So you can see that I'm using my hands to assist me in order to get that rotation from the hips to the torso. Stay nice and light on your toes. Your turn. Prone jacks. So you can see these are like jumping jacks, but in a prone position, like you're about to start a push-up. Nice and light on your toes. Your turn. Side plank for this one. So you could do this the traditional way with both your feet stacked together, or you could do it the way I'm doing it with your top foot in front. Now you want to make sure that you're holding a straight line from your ankle all the way to your shoulder. So watch for that and don't allow your hips to dip down. Make sure your shoulder's comfortable underneath you and that you're holding a vertical line with your arm. Your turn. isometric glutes bridge for this exercise. So you want to make sure you've got your feet parallel at shoulder width, and we're going to lift up into a glutes bridge. You want to make sure you've got a straight line from your knees to your shoulders. You're squeezing hard with your lower back and your glutes and hamstrings, and your hands are in the air so you've got no support. Your turn. Okay, working an extend and retract from a plank position for this one. So this involves using your hands to take 4 steps forward and then holding your extended plank and then working your way back, retracting into a regular plank position. And then we're going to go again. Your turn to try this one. Working a supine abs plank for this one. From a supine position, we're just going to lift our legs right up. You've got to make sure your toes are pointy and your knees are nice and straight. And we want to make sure we lift up our head and shoulder blades as well to create that deep abdominal contraction. We're going to hold it there for a minute. Your turn. Basic hips raised for this exercise. So you can see I've got my feet at shoulder width and I'm lifting all the way up to a point where I'm going past straight line from my knee to my shoulder. Now you can see my hands are on the floor for support as well, so you're welcome to do that too. Your turn to try this one. starting from an elbow plank, we're going to go into an obliques rotation. So what you want to do with this one is point your hand up into the air. You've got to make sure your arm's vertical when you do it, and this basically requires a 90-degree torso rotation. Your turn to try this one. Okay, for this one we're going to start in a plank position, and what we're going to do is jump forward and go into a nice high deep pike, and then jump back and work your way into a plank again. And we're going to alternate between these two exercises. Now when you jump into your pike, it's important to keep your knees straight and really placing your weight on the ball of your foot, getting your butt as high up in the air with your head tucked in. Your turn to try this one. Working some King Kong slams for the next 45 seconds. Your turn to try this one. Letter N sit for this exercise. So it's much like a V sit, except you've got your knees bent for this one. Now you can see I'm leaning back and I'm assisting a little bit with my arms, just pressing against the floor like that. And we just want to make sure that we're holding our position for the next 45 seconds. This one's going to be really tough on your hips. Alright, we're going to drop into a plank and then we're going to work some toe taps. So you can see opposite hand and opposite foot lifting off the floor, and you've just got to try and sustain that balance throughout and make sure you're keeping a nice neutral spine. Your turn to try this one. Okay, starting with a side plank for this one, we're going to lift our hips up and really squeeze that inside oblique. We're going to hold it there for 45 seconds. And then what we want to do is turn around and do exactly the same thing on the other side as well. The important thing is to keep your weight on the side of your foot and keep your knees nice and straight for this one. Your turn to try it. Reverse plank. Now the trick for this one is make sure you've got nice straight knees, and you want to try and elevate your hips as much as you can. Look up at the ceiling to assist you, and just make sure that your fingers are pointing out. This is going to be the most comfortable position. You're going to get a pretty good stretch of the biceps for this one as well. Your turn. Basic forearm plank for this exercise. So you can see I've got my weight on my elbows with two straight parallel arms. Now you've got to make sure that you don't dip or arch your back and keep it protected the whole time. Your turn to try this one. Okay, just working some hops or some bounces if you like in your fighting stance. So just pick your natural side and work with that. Now the idea is to keep your weight on your toes the whole time and just bouncing lightly back and forth. Your turn. calf rollover for this exercise. You can see I'm using vertical arms in order to give me a guide, and I'm trying to keep my knees as straight as I can while throwing up those rollovers. Now I'm going to come back down, but I'm going to make sure I don't touch the floor, so you want that engagement of the lower abs, and then going straight back into it once again. Your turn. Mini pike pulses for this one. So starting from your elbows with 2 parallel lines, you want to push up into a slight pike and come back into your straight line. And we're just going to keep these pikes going. Pump them out. Let's go. Everest plank. Now this is like doing a really long mountain climber and then just holding that pose. So you should be getting a really good stretch in the hips and also in the glutes as well. And just try and maintain your position. We'll hit one side and then we're going to go the other side as well. Your turn. Renegade rotation. This is one of my favorite plank exercises. So you've got all of your weight steady on one arm and both your feet, and then with the opposite arm we're going to rotate and try and get your shoulder all the way down to the floor and then back all the way up with your arm pointing up in the air. We're going to do this off both sides. Your turn. abs tucks for this exercise. So you can see that I'm starting with extended legs, feet and knees together, and then I'm bringing my knees all the way back to my chest and then releasing all the way until I've got straight legs again. Your lower back doesn't leave the floor, and you can see that I've got my head lifted in order to support my spine. Your turn. Superman plank for this one. Now this one is a beauty. It's going to be pretty hard to stabilize, particularly on one side. Your weaker side is going to be harder to stabilize than your stronger side, but I want you guys to give this one a go. You've got to make sure you're using your opposite leg to your hand and just trying to stay nice and stable with a nice straight back. Your turn. Mermaid plank. So this is a fairly easy variation. What we're going to do is drop down to our knees, lift our feet together, and then pick it back up into a plank. Nice easy one to start with. If you're a beginner or if you're not too comfortable with planking, this is a good one to get the job done. Your turn. Working some side knee drops for this one. So you can see that I'm starting off with my feet in a tabletop position, trying to keep the knees and ankles together as much as I can. And I've got some T's going with my arms so that it can support me and prevent me from tipping over. You want to try and get to the edges as much as you can without tipping. Your turn to try this one. working some gator knee strikes from an elbow plank position. Very important not to dip your hips on this one, and make sure you don't lift up with your bum too much either, because you don't want to lose engagement of your core when you do it. When you throw the knees, they should come outside of your elbows. Your turn to try it. Let's all run on the spot with high knees for the next 30 seconds. Your turn. Working some basic abs crunches for this one. So you can see that I've got my knees bent and my feet are flat on the floor. I've got my elbows side to side and I'm looking straight up so that I'm not yanking at my neck. Your lower back doesn't leave the floor at all. It's a crunch and not a sit up. Your turn. Working some mini sprint steps using your favorite leg for the next 30 seconds. Your turn. Single arm plank for this one. So very important to have a nice triangle base. Make sure your weight is spread evenly between your arm and your two legs. And you can see that I'm going into a traditional elbow plank for this one and just keeping the shoulders nice and square. Make sure there's no dipping or arching of the back. Your turn. For this exercise, we're going to take a downward dog position from the elbows. This one's going to be a little bit more stretching the hamstrings, and what we want to try and do is just lift up with your glutes and try and get your heels as close to the floor as you can while you're doing this. You're going to tuck your head in and keep your knees nice and straight. Your turn. Cobra plank. Now, this one's not for everybody, so just watch out for this one. You want to make sure you're not compressing your back too much, you're not putting too much pressure on it. If you can do it, let's go ahead and give this one a run. And then when you finish, we're going to go straight into a yoga child's pose, or an extended cat stretch, if you like, so that we can decompress the spine and relax the back. Your turn.
Take both handles and come into a low lunge position, taking your pelvis as close as possible to your front heel. You really want to sink the pelvis down to feel the stretch of the psoas. Maintain the alignment of the knee with the ankle and a straight spine. Stay here for 30 seconds. Your next inhale, shift the weight backwards. Extend the front leg. Very important, flex the foot, toes upwards. Lean your chest forwards. Keep the arms straight. Full stretch of the back of the leg. Stay here for another 30 seconds. Let's switch sides. Coming into a low lunge shape with your left leg forward, sinking your pelvis down, taking your pelvis as close as possible to your front heel, full stretch of the psoas, looking forwards, maintain a long and straight spine. Stay here for another 30 seconds. Next inhale, shift the weight backward, extend the front leg. Flexion of the front foot, toes pointing upward. Slide your arms forwards, pushing the chest forward, flattening the back as much as you can, full extension of the front leg. Stay here for 30 seconds. Place the right knee down into a K stretch, full extension of the left leg and the left arm parallel to the floor. Reach over to the handle with the opposite arm, full extension of the rib cage. Suck the belly in, keep activating the core muscles, and maintain the stretch for 30 seconds. Let's switch sides. Starting your K stretch. Full extension of the leg, arm parallel to the floor. Full extension of the adductors. Reach over with the opposite arm. Full side stretch. Maintain this K stretch for 30 seconds. Place your left foot in the stirrup, right hand on the handle, arm fully extended forward and come into a low lunge, shifting the weight forwards, maintaining the alignment of the right knee with the right ankle and taking your left heel as close as possible to your sitting bones. Keep twisting your torso, looking backwards with a full spine twist. And maintain the position for 30 seconds. And let's switch sides. Take your right foot into the stirrup. Left hand on the handle, arm fully extended forward. Come into a low lunge. Left knee aligned with the left ankle. And take your right foot as close as possible to your sitting bones. Keep twisting your spine, looking backwards. And maintain the position for 30 seconds.